is really, it's crazy. It can't be everything. They have a lot of other things to do, frankly. But that's the best time is had in those moments when you come up with something you think is really cool, and you're not quite sure why you think it's so cool, but they do. And that's why they're directors, and that's why we do what we do.
We just have a couple minutes left, Alex. Do you want to?
I hate this, can't we? Who's next?
Well, we just have a few minutes. Do you want to talk about 5D a little bit, Alex?
No, carry on. Let the ask.
Okay. How about this guy?
Yeah.
He was. Go ahead.
The question for me, you guys probably through dozens of drawings.
Yes.
I was just wondering how many of the designs actually reach prototype decided on?
I'll tell you really quickly because we don't have a lot of time. I came on the show 2 months before I had come on the show. They had already started doing some extraordinary sketches. Phil Saunders is an extraordinary artist who I worked with on Zathura. So we brought him on, and he started working on it with Adi Granov, who lived in England. They were working online, which everybody seems to be doing a lot of now. When I came on the show, I was a little behind the ball, the curveball, but I trust those guys, so they were working on it a lot. My biggest concern was elegance, which was an overview, which is typical of what we do as well. And every time it started to stray into mechanics and cool stuff and it didn't start looking beautiful and elegant, I started pulling it back to elegance. So it was a combination of all of us working on it, tugging and pulling and everything else. We did a model of it out of what is that modeling clay everybody uses?
Plastilina.
Plastilina. Well, it was plastilina, yeah. We did it in the office, and we started looking at it, and we loved it. We thought it was great. We gave it to Stan Winston. He did a first helmet, and it was from that design. We just one design we picked, and that was it. We knew we had enough facets on the machine so that it could have secret things that would pop up later on in post-production. In fact, the whole suiting up thing was shot 3 weeks on a sound stage in additional photography a year after we finished the movie. So there were a lot of things that came in that we did afterwards, but it was essentially all designed in the computer, modeled very quickly, and then we went to town and made it.
Can we do one more?
Yeah, Alex. Different dimensions of time.
I think because of the time, if let me just finish. I'm just going to do a quick sentence at the end. Carry on. There's so many people asking questions.
Well, anyway, just like.
Well, I'm curious about the organization of your ideas, because you talk about ideas being scrapped and then going back later and maybe having to retrieve it for either a second movie or something. Do you have somebody that organizes sketches and ideas, or do you have your own system? Because to me, I would panic if the director goes, "What was that thing we looked at 2 weeks ago? Where is that?" And you have to find it.
We usually have the last several films I've done, we have a dedicated server for the show, and there's a part that's for the art department, and all the artwork that gets done gets downloaded to the server, so that people who have access to the server can actually go back to it and refer to everything, and then we also time code and date everything. So because, sometimes we'll do 2 or 3 iterations, literally in a week, or even in a day, if you will.
Oh, it's changing colors of costumes.
Yeah, all the time. And it gets really minute sometimes, and so you have to really be able to have some way of tracking it all. Otherwise, you got a giant pile of paper in your office.
What did you do before computers?
Well, I'd like to suggest that movies weren't quite as complex, for one thing. They weren't quite as complex, and like Michael said, Watchmen has been around, I believe, for 20 years or so as a potential script, but they weren't able to do it because the technology wasn't really available. I think that's also one of the things we're seeing so much more with comics being turned into movies, is because we can do it digitally now. We can do a lot of stuff that just 20 years ago would not have been possible.
Shout it out.
Typically, do you guys select visual development artists that you work with? I know you said that Addie and Ryan and Saunders were selected before you started working with them. Neil Ross and Tom Howard had a real strong style.
I always hire the concept artists, and they don't start before I start, and there's a fantastic pool of artists out there, and you get to work with who's available, basically. But yes.
Yeah, right.
They're asking us to stop. If anyone has any influence with Comic-Con, this should be a longer panel. So anybody who wants to complain Comic-Con,
Just before you go, and for that very reason, there's seismic shifts happening in the way that media is working now, the way design works, the way that we work within design. We are starting this year a new conference called 5D, the Future of Immersive Design, in Long Beach in October 4th and 5th. And we will be giving 2-hour panels over 2 days exclusively devoted to the process of design across film, animation, TV, interactive media, and experience design architecture. So please come to that, and let's continue this conversation. Thank you.